Welcome into the PFF NFL Daily. Nobody knows if I was just
smooth
coughing up a lung right before
Mm-hmm.
we started, because we're live on the PFF NFL Daily talking about Micah Parsons of the Dallas Cowboys. Not only, Sam, in the defensive rookie of the year conversation, but is he in the defensive player of the year conversation? And I'm going to take it even further. Have we ever seen anybody like Micah Parsons, a true legitimate linebacker, a true legitimate edge defender? Micah Parsons changing the game here for the Dallas Cowboys in another huge game last night against the Saints.
Yeah, and he's ridiculous. Like, we knew that he was a special athlete coming into the NFL, but he's not unique in that. There are a lot of special athletes coming to the league, particularly as a pass rusher. I mean, even in this draft class, he wasn't, Adafe Owe was a freakish athlete as well, from the same school. But Parsons' ability to play multiple positions and completely distinct positions, edge rusher, off the ball linebacker, to flip between the two seamlessly, to be technically proficient at both of them, not just a dude who's surviving on the defensive line because he's a freakish athlete, but actually winning with technique and an actual pass rush moves. He is doing some pretty special things. And he's only just starting. Like, he's a rookie. He leads the NFL in rookie pressures, led it coming into this game with 45, which is 5 more than anybody else. He added a few more in this game, but he's got like 100 fewer pass rushes than anybody behind him because he's been doing it like moonlighting as an edge rusher when all their pass rushers are injured. Like, he's essentially supposed to be an off-the-ball linebacker who has played a few games on the edge because everybody's got hurt.
Yeah, I always feel like I need to preface this by saying, okay, for years when you heard you have a 3-4, right? You have a 3-4 defense, and it includes 4 linebackers, but truly it's really 2 linebackers, right? 2 on the inside, 2 on the edge, and they are true edge rushers. And what we've seen through the years is edge rushers move to linebacker because you teach them coverage, you teach them run fits, and guys do this all the time. Teddy Bruschi back in the day, Joe Schobert in recent years, Hassan Reddick. But going from linebacker to edge, which again, Micah Parsons wasn't really doing that at Penn State. He was a true linebacker. He was not actually rushing the passer a lot. He was blitzing. It's a whole different skill set. Going one-on-one with tackles as an edge rusher is different from blitzing and beating up running backs. And having that skill set is just rare. And Micah Parsons, as you said, not only moonlighting, but just week to week, whatever the game plan calls for, they had to just move him to edge earlier in the year, and he didn't miss a beat, was still extremely productive.
It's actually a great point to bring up the 3-4 linebacker one, because, like, theoretically speaking, a 3-4 outside linebacker has to rush the passer and has to drop into coverage as well. They have to do it all. But particularly compared with like today's NFL, it is a different world. Like, a 3-4 outside linebacker has to maybe 60 times a year figure out how to spot drop into a little, zone, shallow, and just get in the way of something. Micah Parsons is running deep down the field, covering guys, and, he's covering wide receivers in man coverage. This is a completely different thing. Being an off-the-ball linebacker in today's world of sub-packages is just not the same thing as a 3-4 outside linebacker in base defense that has to occasionally occupy a little bit of space in a zone. But the pass rushing is very much the same. So he's being asked to do what those 3-4 outside linebackers are in terms of pass rush, but when he's in coverage, he's being asked to do a completely different skill set, which is honestly closer to, a strong safety in coverage responsibility than it is those 3-4 outside linebackers.
Using our historic database, right, of measurables, you can look at Micah Parsons' workout and just kind of compare him to edge defenders historically. So at 246 pounds, when he weighed in at their pro day, that's well below what you'd expect from an edge rusher, but it's, it's your 3-4 outside backer type of size. But a 4.39 40-yard dash, that's the 100th percentile, 91st percentile broad jump, 88th percentile 3-cone, 88th percentile 10-yard split. So all of these explosive measures, change of direction measures, as good as it gets, whether you're comparing him to linebackers or edge defenders, which I think, we're getting close to the underwear Olympics season, Sam. When we're going to be getting these guys working out again, and what does it mean and all that stuff. But it's always fun to go back and when you're watching Parsons on the field, being like, dude, his first step is incredible. His explosiveness. He had a killer spin move earlier this year against Tristan Wirfs. one of the better right tackles in the league, and just whooped him in about 1.5 seconds. All of that athleticism shows up on the field, and I think that's a huge part of his success against tackles.
It really does. Like as I said, there are imposing athletes throughout the NFL. There's millions of them. I know you've just run through his measurables, and he's even in a landscape of freakish athletes. He's at the 100th and 90th plus percentile and whatever. But it's amazing how much his athleticism seems to make an impact and translate. Like his closing speed, his ability to defeat high-end athletes with that kind of stuff is insane. There was a play in last night's game where Taysom Hill bootlegs essentially into Micah Parsons. And, there's a lot of edge rushers in the NFL where if Taysom Hill got one-on-one with them in the open field, you would expect him to be able to pull a move on him and get rid of him. And he didn't even come close to doing that against Micah Parsons. Like, not only that, but Parsons closed the distance so fast that he just locked him up, and it became an even bigger negative play than it was probably always going to become. It ended up as like a 13-yard loss because his closing speed and just the immediate heat-seeking missile ability of Micah Parsons just killed the play stone dead.
Football fans, I'm sure we all love an action-packed, high-scoring NFL game, but with the latest no-brainer from Draftkings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL, you'll be a winner once a single point is scored. New customers who bet just $1 on any team to score can win $100 in free bets. It's that simple. If Sportsbook isn't yet available in your state, you can still get in on the NFL action. Everyone can play for huge cash prizes all season long with DraftKings daily fantasy sports contests. And DraftKings is giving all new customers a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes with their first deposit. So download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code PFF. Bet $1 on any team to score and win $100 in free bets. If they score, you score with promo code PFF. This week at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Must be 21 or older. New Jersey, Indiana, Pennsylvania only. New customers only. Minimum $5 deposit, $1 wager required. One per customer. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. I do want to go back and answer that question. Is he in the Defensive Player of the Year conversation? But do you think the Cowboys even knew what they were getting with Micah Parsons? Did they think they were just getting, hey, here's the best linebacker in the draft, great athlete, good all-around backer. He can rush the passer as a blitzer, but then they get him in camp, and it's like, wait a second, this dude's like as good as DeMarcus Lawrence, our top edge rusher.
Yeah, and I don't even know if they knew at that point. And it was like, well, we think this guy can do a little bit of pass rushing, and right now we need anything we can get, so let's put him down there and see what happens. And they're surprised by this amazing play. Like, this is one of those, the Dallas Cowboys have lucked into some insane players in recent. Remember, they wanted Paxton Lynch as their quarterback, whiffed on him, couldn't get him, and ended up tried a couple of different things and ended up settling for Dak Prescott in the 4th round. Dak Prescott becomes the future of the franchise. Here, they wanted a cornerback, and both of them got taken the couple of picks before Dallas came up. And this was like almost a panic, oh crap, what do we do? Like, we hadn't even run a scenario where one of the two cornerbacks wasn't available when we picked. Quick, grab Micah Parsons. And he's the best defensive player in the draft so far. So
at two different positions.
Right. They've really stumbled upon it. It's kind of amazing. So I don't think they came close to knowing what they had until they put him out there. So
I think right now it's 10 NFL sacks, 11 PFF sacks, because we give credit for the half sack. The highest pressure number among all rookies. I think Parsons obviously the leader in the clubhouse for the defensive rookie of the year, but even with Trevon Diggs and his 9 interceptions on the same team, do you actually put Parsons into this defensive player of the year conversation when you take in everything that he's had to do here as a rookie?
Well, as always with PFF, we have to draw the distinction between players that will win an award and players that should. So I think Trevon Diggs is probably the front runner for defensive player of the year, but I'm not certain he should be, because as much as he has all the interceptions, he also has a lot of negative plays as well. I think other candidates, Max Crosby still leads the NFL in total pressures by a distance. Isn't quite on pace for the record anymore, but he's still, I think, the best graded edge rusher in the NFL, leads the league in pressure, is still getting it done against elite players. He's got a really good case. Myles Garrett is still right up there as well in terms of dominant pass rushing grade, has a ton of pressures as well. I don't think Aaron Donald is really in the conversation, because this is a relative down year for him, which is
in
still
the NFL conversation, right?
right. Which he's still the best graded defender in the NFL, but it is by his standards a down season for him. And then guys that won't be in the NFL conversation but should be, Kevin Byard, I think, should absolutely be in the Defensive Player of the Year conversation. But after that, like, Parsons is there.
Yeah, and I think, it always takes the big sack total, the big interception total. Again, he's got 10 NFL sacks. If you get another 5 or 6 and you're at that 15, 16 range and you're like, whoa, he's a rookie and he's a linebacker as an edge, I think people will start talking about Micah Parsons, at least in that conversation. So very impressive rookie season for Micah Parsons. The Dallas Cowboys defense, much better than last year. Partially, Trevon Diggs picking the ball, turning it over, but a big part of it is Micah Parsons up front. It's a PFF.